Good afternoon, class. My name is Sebastian Ray, and today I'm going to be talking about a case study involving insomnia. The case study that I mentioned is from the book Classic Case Studies of Psychological Disorders. It's the third edition of the book. In the case study, we have two patients whose names are Peter Tripp and Randy Gardner. Both of these patients were in the study under the title of The Men Who Couldn't Sleep, directly referring to insomnia. Now, what is insomnia? Insomnia is a condition which is defined as having trouble or inability to sleep even when given the possibility to do so. Now, in psychology, we diagnose a patient with insomnia when they're having this issue for more than a number of weeks for it to be true insomnia. In this case, it was. Neither the patients, Tripp nor Gardner, had any sleep. They were incapable of it, it seems. What does that do to the human body? Well, sleep directly relates to homeostasis and a sleep cycle known as the circadian rhythm. Both of these work in tandem to make sure, first, that we're awake during the day and asleep at night, and the circadian rhythm goes more in depth with that, where it wakes us up at certain periods and lets us be slightly more sleepy at others. This relates to caffeine intake and things like that you want to make sure you're not doing it while you're peaking because it could potentially damage it. But both of them keep us awake. Now, on top of just feeling sleepy, when we sleep, our body recuperates. We rebuild things. Our brain, for instance, does whatever it needs to, and it just gets everything ready for the next go around. On top of that, sleep and rest reflect your immune system, your fatigue, your metabolic rate. Pretty much everything you do is regulated by the sleeping and affects the homeostasis. Now, a big side effect of sleep deprivation or insomnia is sleepiness, which sounds funny, but it could end in a lot of bad situations. One of them would be narcolepsy. You could fall asleep at any time, or just a general feeling of tired. Most of us are used to sleeping, so if we were in an insomniatic state, we probably wouldn't be functional. Besides that, you have your immune system. When you're not sleeping, your immune system's not working efficiently. It's just like if you're really stressed out. You'll be more susceptible to any sort of disease or sickness or virus. Your body won't fight it as quickly, and because your metabolic rate's down, you're not going to have the energy to. You also might not have the appetite. When you couple that with the weakened immune system, you're more likely to get cold. That can lead to all kinds of issues like dehydration if you're not taking anything in. Another aspect of insomnia is the aggression. Anytime that your homeostasis is messed up, you have an altered level of consciousness. Now, not altered like EMT altered where the person's unresponsive, but altered where you're not yourself. A lot of the time that ends in aggression. You'll be more aggravated, more angry, more ready to snap at a moment's notice. A lot of people can't have that sort of life in their daily jobs. I myself work in retail. If I were to suffer from insomnia, on top of being sick and tired, I would probably tell a customer off. Not the best thing. Now, on top of all of this, we have the deprivation, the lack of sleep. So this stuff isn't just happening and it stays at a certain level. No, this increases. It gets worse as time goes on. So that's what insomnia is. That's what it does. How do we treat it? Insomnia is usually one of two things. Either a hormone or chemical imbalance in your brain, or it can be stress related, something traumatic, something that just makes it so it's impossible for you to feel like you can sleep. Now, when it's in our brain, it's easier treatable, but there's more side effects. You can take medication to increase serotonin levels. You can take all kinds of medications to make yourself sleepy, even Benadryl does it. There's always going to be side effects to each medication. My apologies. And on top of the side effects, your body's going to grow a tolerance for it. Now that tolerance might take years to develop, but if you really need the medication, you can't sleep otherwise, you're going to get higher and higher tolerances to it, and eventually you'll be addicted to it, more than likely, where it'll be not just a medical need, but a psychological need, almost like a placebo effect, that you have to have it or you're not going to sleep. And there's all kinds of different addictions. That's a whole nother category of disorders. But that's the downside of the medical treatments. A plus side to the medical treatments is if the matter, if it's not stress related whatsoever and it's just a chemical imbalance, it's easily fixable. It's done. Now, on the other hand, you have a psychological issue like stress or trauma. Either of these can make it hard to sleep, and they're a lot harder to cure because they require therapy. And during that therapy, you have to try different things. Now, there's all kinds of different therapies, whole sections of it devoted in textbooks. But finding one that works best will be on a patient-to-patient base. Now let's get back to the case study at hand. Randy and Tripp both suffered from insomnia. Both of the insomnias were directly related to psychological issues, which is good because back during this time, the medication wasn't really at its best and will always be improving. Unfortunately, Tripp never really recuperated. He, for a time, had better results from the psychological therapeutic measures taken, but he never really got over it. The other guy did, which is nice. The whole purpose of this case study, like all the other case studies in the book, is to maybe not show you the way to fix this illness, but to show you that it's out there. Like many of these things, just knowledge of them is helpful. Because as this case study, as any case study is done now, it's not the end. It's just a way to build up to seek a better cure. Thank you.